Picture this scenario, right? It is like 9 o'clock on a Tuesday night.
Oh, the classic Tuesday slump.
Exactly. You were just completely drained from work, from making dinner, answering emails, from just, well, existing in a busy world.
It's exhausting just thinking about it.
Right. But you have this goal. You want to learn a new language. So you sit down at your desk.
Okay.
You pull out that really expensive notebook you bought. You fire up your color-coded flashcard app.
Getting all the tools ready.
Yep. And you spend 45 minutes reviewing vocabulary words you frankly mostly already know.
Right.
And you feel this massive rush of accomplishment. You check the box for the day, you close the laptop, and you just feel incredibly productive.
You feel like you really did something.
You do. But here's the brutal reality. A month goes by, then 6 months, and you realize you haven't actually gotten any better at having a real conversation.
Yeah, it's so common.
You've basically fallen into the ultimate productivity trap. You are spending your incredibly scarce free time doing the wrong things perfectly.
Perfectly doing the wrong things. Wow. Yeah, I mean, that illusion of progress is just devastating for adult learners
It really is.
because we crave that feeling of competence, you know? We desperately want the dopamine hit of getting a flashcard right or acing a multiple choice grammar quiz.
Oh, absolutely. The instant gratification.
Exactly. So we instinctively build our study habits around the things that make us feel smart rather than the things that actually move the needle.
Right, which makes sense from a psychological standpoint.
Totally. But because time is the one resource we cannot manufacture more of, spending those precious 45 minutes on comfortable tasks isn't just inefficient. It's actually actively sabotaging your ultimate goal.
And that friction, right, that friction between the ambition to learn and the harsh reality of a super limited schedule is exactly what we are tearing apart in today's deep dive.
I love this topic.
Yeah, we are pulling insights from a framework developed by Michael. He's the creator behind the YouTube channel English at the Ready.
Which is a fantastic resource, by the way.
It really is. He put together this amazing video on how to accelerate the learning curve without adding a single extra minute to your study routine.
Music to everyone's ears.
Right. And, while his focus in the source material is specifically on language acquisition, the psychological mechanisms at play here, they apply to almost any complex skill you're trying to master.
Absolutely. Coding, instruments, whatever.
Exactly. So the core mission today is figuring out how to start relying on just raw stamina and start deploying, well, ruthless strategy.
And that's such a necessary shift because the standard advice we've all kind of internalized is that mastery requires endless grinding.
Just grind it out.
Right. If you aren't fluent yet, the assumption is that you just haven't suffered enough. You need to sleep less, wake up earlier, put more hours into the textbook.
The classic hustle culture mentality.
Yeah, exactly. But Michael's framework completely dismantles that. He argues that working harder in the wrong direction is the main reason people spend years studying a subject and never achieve real proficiency.
Because we just fail to recognize that the brain doesn't just absorb information just because we stare at a page for 3 hours.
Right. It doesn't work by osmosis.
Yeah. And because time is entirely inelastic, we can't stretch our days to suddenly accommodate a 4-hour study block.
I wish we could, but yeah.
Right. So the only variable we can actually control is the precision of what we do inside the 30 minutes we actually have.
Precision over duration.
Exactly. Which brings us to the first major hurdle the framework identifies. And the source calls this the whole language myth.
Right. This is a crucial concept because when someone decides to learn a new skill, they usually view it as this one giant, insurmountable monolith.
Like it's just one big block.
Exactly. They say, I'm going to study English today, or I'm going to practice guitar, or I'm going to learn coding.
Right.
But English isn't an activity you can practice. It's a massive, complex ecosystem of highly isolated subskills.
Right. You've got grammar, vocabulary,
reading comprehension, writing mechanics, accent, conversational listening. It's a lot.
It really is.
So if you sit down with the vague goal of just studying English, your brain is basically aiming at nothing.
Right.
And you end up defaulting to whatever subskill feels the easiest in that moment.
Which is how you end up doing flashcards for an hour. It makes me think of an amateur tennis player who wants to develop a lethal serve, right?
Okay, yeah, I like that analogy.
If they just go out and play full matches every single weekend, they're certainly getting exhausted.
Oh, for sure.
I mean, they are sweating, they are running, they're putting in the hours. But in a 2-hour match, they might only hit, 30 serves?
Right, maybe 30.
And they are hitting those serves under varying conditions, constantly distracted by the rest of the game.
Yeah, they are focusing on the mechanics.
Exactly. If they want to fix the serve, they have to stop playing matches entirely. They need to stand on the baseline with a basket of 200 balls and isolate the toss, the wrist snap, the footwork.
Yeah.
Playing the whole game is confusing general fatigue with targeted skill acquisition.
That distinction right there between general fatigue and targeted acquisition.
Yeah.
That's where most learners fail.
Wow.
Because when you practice everything at once, or when you lean into the broad generalized study session, you're demanding that your central nervous system adapt to way too many stimuli simultaneously.
It's just overloaded.
Exactly. So the framework argues that you have to shatter the monolith. You do not need to, quote unquote, improve your English.
Right.
You need to isolate the specific mechanical failure in your current ability and attack it.
But let's pause here because I want to look at the risks of that isolation.
Okay, sure.
Because if I am that tennis player or if I'm learning a language and I happen to be exceptional good at grammatical structure, abandoning my strengths entirely feels incredibly reckless.
It feels wrong, yeah.
Doesn't practicing the things we are already good at maintain our baseline? Like if I spend years building up a vast vocabulary, letting that sit idle while I solely practice speaking just seems like a recipe for losing the skills I work so hard to acquire.
I mean, that fear of regression is completely natural. It really is. But we have to look at the mathematics of a time-starved schedule.
Okay, lay it out for me.
Let's say you only have 30 minutes a day to study.
Which is pretty realistic.
Right. If you already operate at, say, a 90% proficiency in grammar, maybe because you spent years drilling it in a traditional classroom,
Right.
spending your Tuesday night reviewing subjunctive clauses might push you to a 91% proficiency.
So a tiny bump.
Exactly.
Huh.
You spent 100% of your daily time allotment for a 1% marginal gain.
Wow. Yeah, when you put it like that.
Meanwhile, your real-time conversational speaking might be sitting at a 20% proficiency.
Yikes. Okay.
Right? So that same 30 minutes applied to speaking could yield a massive 10 or 15% jump in capability. Time is a zero-sum game here.
Every single minute you spend padding your ego with your strength is a minute stolen from the weakness that's acting as a bottleneck.
Exactly. It's holding back your overall fluency.
So it's basically an exercise in ruthless triage.
That's a great word for it.
Right. Like the moment you achieve a functional baseline in a subskill, you just have to bench it.
Yeah, you really do.
You have to actively deny yourself the dopamine hit of feeling competent and force yourself back to the bottom of the mountain on the skill that actually terrifies you.
That is the exact prescription from the source. The framework dictates that if your grammar is stellar, but your pronunciation is holding you back, you are no longer studying English.
Right.
You are only studying pronunciation.
Wow.
You put the grammar books in a drawer, you stop taking vocabulary quizzes, you isolate the weak link, and you apply all of your limited pressure directly to it until it snaps.
Which, I mean, the theory makes perfect logical sense. But the emotional reality of executing that kind of triage sounds absolutely miserable.
Oh, it's not fun.
No one wants to voluntarily stare at their own incompetence every single day.
Nobody.
Which makes the case study included in the materials so vital, because it illustrates the psychological toll and the ultimate payoff of this approach.
Yeah, the story of Shadab.
Right, so we get the story of the student named Shadab. Let's dig into that.
Yeah, Shadab's trajectory